In 2002, Bethesda wanted to create the most realistic RPG ever made. They wanted their new game, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, to have fully voiced dialogue, real-time physics, and a massive open-world map. But their biggest goal was for their non-player characters to act like real people. They gave every NPC their own goals, feelings, and things to do. This had never been done before, and Bethesda wanted to change immersive gaming forever. They called their new system Radiant AI, and it was a disaster. Radiant AI turned peaceful and kind NPCs into greedy, murderous little freaks. They wreaked havoc on Cyrodiil and busted Oblivion in half. Bethesda had to scramble mid-development to stop the NPCs completely ruining their own game, and they didn't totally succeed. This is the story of why The Elder Scrolls Oblivion has the weirdest NPCs in gaming history. Chapter 1. The Dream. Before Oblivion, there was Morrowind. Released in 2002, the game sold like hotcakes and received all the accolades critics could throw at it. But there were some minor complaints about the NPCs. The people of Morrowind basically just stood around all day or shuffled through simple and scripted routines. This was similar to other RPGs of the time like Ultima 7 or the Gothic series, which also gave NPCs scripted schedules for sleeping, waking, or doing odd jobs. Having all these things be scripted, predefined, set in stone made it easier for the developers to implement, but it was kind of boring. It'd be a whole lot better if the NPCs could make their own decisions. In the new Elder Scrolls game, Oblivion, the NPCs were not only going to be fully voiced by famous actors, they were going to be independent. Todd Howard, who was executive producer for Oblivion, made it clear to the public how Radiant AI was supposed to work.
AI we have in the game. We designed this system, Radiant AI, that allows the people in the world to react really intelligently, and they sort of have their own goals, so they can look at their environment around them and decide how they want to accomplish them.
For example, an NPC might have a daily goal to eat lunch. A law-abiding citizen would find or buy the food, while a desperate thief might decide to steal. That's a simple example, but Bethesda imagined that the interactions between NPCs could create emergent behaviors. Here's an example they gave. If the city guards got hungry and wandered off to hunt deer, thieves might notice the unguarded market and start stealing. If the market sellers fought back, things could turn bloody. In theory, an event as simple as guards getting hungry could create a chain reaction of unscripted events. Events like these would happen randomly and would be different for every single player on every single playthrough. Todd Howard later said that one of their biggest inspirations for Radiant was The Sims. Bringing that influence into the Elder Scrolls would make Cyrodiil feel real in a way no other RPG ever had. Chapter 2. The Development. Development started on Oblivion in 2002, right after Morrowind came out, and the Radiant AI system was going to be core to the game, so they needed to figure out the nitty-gritty real fast. Radiant was supposed to make NPCs feel real, but here's how it was actually going to work. Radiant was a goal-oriented system. Every NPC in Oblivion was given a set of needs or goals. Think gotta sleep, gotta eat, gotta work, gotta make friends, everyday normal stuff. The way NPCs would try to achieve their goals was based on a variety of personality attributes. The most critical of these attributes was responsibility. A very responsible NPC would obey laws, but an irresponsible NPC might do things a little differently. Once an NPC had goals and a personality, the Radiant AI system had them try and achieve their goals using the environment around them and their inventory. Radiant AI also encouraged NPCs to talk to each other, make friends. They were all given access to a pool of randomized dialogue about world events or local rumors with which they could construct their double-digit IQ conversations.
Bye. Goodbye. Oh, hello.
All of this AI technology, no, not that kind of AI, was built into Bethesda's beautiful Gamebryo engine as a sort of simulation layer governing the actions of every single NPC. The team had to integrate Radiant with other systems as well, like the crime system or the combat system. Radiant was everywhere in Oblivion. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and if you are and know anyone who you think might enjoy it too, sharing this video is the biggest way to support my channel. You can also like and subscribe if you want. Anyway, back to the video. Chapter 3. The Panic. As you may have noticed by my subtle foreshadowing and title and thumbnail, Radiant AI didn't exactly go to plan. There was nothing at all wrong with the concept of intelligent NPCs. It was just in the execution. Here's an example given by Emil Pagliarulo, one of the game designers. So, there's a Dark Brotherhood quest where the player is supposed to meet a shadowy skooma dealer. But when playtesters arrived, they would always find the merchant dead. Why? Well, there was actually a skooma den nearby filled with skooma-addicted NPCs. Naturally, these guys loved skooma, so when they ran out and couldn't afford to buy any more, they would just go and off the merchant and take his. That's already not great, but the biggest issue here was that the merchant was actually a quest-critical NPC, so when he got offed, players were basically soft-locked out of an entire quest line. This was not an isolated issue either. Radiant AI had spread a villainous intent across Cyrodiil. One NPC had a job, raking leaves, but if he misplaced his rake, his AI decided that he really needed that rake, so he had to go find any NPC who had one and take theirs, by force if necessary. There are stories from playtesting about guards leaving their post and the city falling into chaos, or herbologists attacking other NPCs to try and get the herbs out of their inventory. There are tons of stories of the way these devious Radiant NPCs tried any method to secure their goals. The intention of Radiant was to add a subtle realism to Oblivion, but instead, anytime anybody wanted anything, which was all of the time, chaos descended. Bethesda was, obviously, forced to dial back the ambition. But they couldn't just rip Radiant AI out, it was central to the functioning of Oblivion, so instead, they just tried to rein it in. Firstly, many NPCs were given higher responsibility values to prevent the constant aggression. Secondly, certain extreme behaviors like all the guards abandoning duty or civilians attacking each other for tools were hard-coded out. Thirdly, key NPCs were marked as essential, making them unkillable. Essentially, Bethesda manually tamped down on NPC freedoms. The dream of a free-form Radiant AI had to die for Oblivion to live. Chapter 4. The Release. For the full release of Oblivion, Bethesda managed to stop Radiant NPCs from destroying the game, but there was still a lot of effects and a lot of weirdness. Let me tell you about some of my favorite ones. The Poisoned Apple Assassinations. During the Dark Brotherhood quest, The Purification, you can find poisoned apples. If you drop these poisoned apples in a public place, hungry NPCs will scuttle over, pick up your apples, eat them, and skooma pilgrims. NPCs who like skooma, like Trennis Doronius and Gellius Terentius, regularly travel to the city of Breville, because Breville is known for its skooma den. They hang out there for a couple of days, enjoy some of the high life, and then go back home. It's not involved in any quest line, it's just something they do. NPC affairs.
Irene Metric and I spend a lot of time together, true. We're just good friends. But don't tell Elisa, she wouldn't understand.
Roderick Pierron will often spend his nights with Irene Metric, despite being married to Eliza. He'll go out to her house at night and sleep in her bed. Now, not all married NPCs cheat, but some of them do. The Goblin Wars. Cyrodiil has 7 goblin tribes, each with a treasured totem staff. If one of the tribe's totem is stolen, even by the player, they will form a war party and attack the tribe who they think took it. Many players never see a goblin war, but they're going on in the background, just goblins attacking each other. Bizarre one-liners. Like I mentioned before, Radiant tells NPCs to start random conversations, and they can say some really funny stuff.
Fall before me, Breton! You're pathetic! Take that!
So I think it's fair to say that Radiant AI
wasn't perfect, but I think players really loved it.
Chapter 5. The Reaction.
When Oblivion launched in 2006, Radiant was actually one of its most talked about features.
Players were amazed by the liveliness of towns and the unscripted encounters. I personally remember just following NPCs around, waiting to see what they would do. For those coming from Morrowind, where NPCs never even ate or slept, seeing a merchant close up shop and walk home for the night in Oblivion was revolutionary. GameSpot's review from the time noted, simply exploring one of the game's towns and interacting with its populace can be a remarkable experience. Characters don't all stand around like they did in Morrowind. They're on a schedule.
On the flip side, some reactions were more mixed. While everybody acknowledged that the concept was great, some players quickly noticed the rough edges.
Something Awful mocked Radiant AI in their review by describing an NPC's day. He stood around by a wall for 30 minutes. Then he stood in the inn for an hour. Then he went home. Apparently, Radiant AI is all about giving NPCs goals. I guess they accidentally set everyone's goal to watch paint dry.
To get an idea of what gamers thought at the time, I looked through the forum posts of RPG Codex from 2006. This is what I found.
TheGamer667 on April 10th of 2006 had the following to say. That's what Beth deserves after hyping the daylights out of regarded intelligence. Gothic may have had scripted NPC routines, but at least they were much more convincing than what Oblivion's NPCs do at the moment. Beth is in the right direction with RAI, but it needs way more tweaking to look good.
So, not everybody loved it, but the reactions skewed positive in the sense that it was a bold innovation. Even when it misfired, it was still really entertaining.
Chapter 6. Legacy.
Ultimately, I think Bethesda saw Radiant as a mild success, but felt its implementation was pretty sloppy.
Fallout 3 and Skyrim both used their own versions of Radiant AI, but with much tighter scopes. As you might know from experience, Skyrim's NPCs are nowhere near as wacky as Oblivion's. Their schedules are more rigid, they're less likely to do crazy stuff, and there's no goblin wars or things like that. The result is a much more stable game, but one where the NPCs feel a little bit static. Skyrim did innovate with a system called Radiant Story, which dynamically generates minor quests for the player.
But the NPCs, in my opinion, aren't as memorable. They're definitely a lot less janky though.
Outside of Bethesda, the concept of giving NPCs more autonomy did inspire other devs. We see echoes of Radiant in games like The Witcher 3, where villagers have day-night routines and react to weather or monster attacks, although The Witcher uses a lot more scripting than Oblivion did. The industry as a whole has trended towards more lively, reactive, and interesting NPCs than we saw in the mid-2000s, but even 19 years later, we haven't seen the kind of crazy, dynamic NPC reactions the way Oblivion did it.
I guess part of Radiant AI's legacy is a mix of caution and inspiration. It shows what's possible when you unleash your NPCs and why most devs don't do that. I should also probably mention the Oblivion remaster, which came out last month and is kind of the inspiration for why I'm making this video.
As with most elements of the remaster, Radiant AI has not been overhauled, so much as it's been polished up. The silly dialogue is still there. The Goblin Wars and the Skooma Dens are all still functioning. There's reportedly better pathfinding, and NPCs just seem to get stuck a little less often.
When you play the remaster, you can notice. It's just a little bit tighter.
Chapter 7. The Conclusion.
Radiant AI was half success, half failure. It didn't turn out the way it was supposed to.
It's the most unique thing about Oblivion, partially because no one else has ever wanted to do it since.
And I love it. I think it's a huge reason, if not the biggest reason, that Oblivion is so dang charming.
Even today, 19 years after it came out, the remastered version is selling incredibly well because it's a really fun game with really weird NPCs.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and shout out to my Patreons on screen right now. If you want to see another video, click right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.